Hi, this is TJR from Music Worth Buying, and this is going to be my review of the recently released deluxe edition of Led Zeppelin's In Through the Outdoor. As you know, Led Zeppelin has been, of course, re-releasing the entire catalog in both standard CD and deluxe CD editions, and even vinyl editions as well, which I won't be discussing, and also some very large, expensive super deluxe editions, which I won't be discussing either. I'm just going to be centering these reviews, as I have with each one of them, on the deluxe CD editions. These are 2 CD editions. A few of these releases are 3 CD editions, which include, of course, a remastering of the original album, new packaging, and then, of course, bonus disc or bonus discs of additional material not previously released. And like all of my previous reviews on these Led Zeppelin deluxe editions, I'm not reviewing the albums, so to speak. I am just commenting on the audio quality of the remastering of the original album, and then centering the rest of my review on the deluxe, I should say the bonus disc, which features all the additional new tracks that have not been previously released. I probably will do reviews of all the Zeppelin albums as albums at another time. So right now, let's get right into it here with In Through the Outdoor. Now, like all of my reviews so far with these deluxe editions, I do not hear anything really significantly different or any large major improvements between the remastering of these new editions versus previous remasters that have been released in the past. So once again, I can't recommend you buy these just on the basis alone of the audio remastering, where I'm going to say, hey, this is just a huge upgrade and you've just got to go out and rebuy this album again. So the only reason, again, as I've said previously with my other reviews, to purchase this again is for the new packaging and also for the bonus disc or bonus discs. Now in this case, In Through the Outdoor comes with a bonus disc, and every single track on In Through the Outdoor has a bonus disc companion track as well. And so let's discuss these right now. Now up first is In the Evening, subtitled Rough Mix. So this is an earlier rough mix of the track that we already know. It features a slightly longer variation on the ominous opening that we hear at the beginning of the album before Plant sings In the Evening. It's a little bit different and a little bit longer. Plant's vocals always felt a bit buried in the original studio version. Here they are less drenched in reverb and come out a bit more clearly, and you can better understand what he is saying. Now after that, the next track is Southbound Piano, which is really just Southbound Suarez, track number 2 on the original album, and it's also labeled as a rough mix. Now this rough mix seems to play up John Paul's piano a bit more in the mix, which is probably why it's maybe titled Southbound Piano. Overall, it feels a bit more stripped down, and it just feels like a less produced version. After that comes Fool in the Rain, rough mix. Now this mix puts Robert Plant's vocals more into the forefront with a lot less vocal processing. Also, Page's solo at around the 350 mark is also less buried, and you can just better discern the notes that he's playing. You can also hear his acoustic guitar parts much more distinctly in this version too. So I enjoy hearing this version for those reasons. Hot Dog, rough mix. Plant's vocals feel a bit less processed once again, and like these other rough mixes, the whole thing comes off a bit more stripped down. There is a slightly longer fade out at the ending of the track, which lets you hear a little extra guitar lick that you don't really get to hear in the studio version. But other than that, not really too much difference. You know, not much that I can really recommend that's going to say, hey, this is going to change how you listen to this song. Now after that comes the next track, which is called The Epic. And then, of course, in parentheses, it says Carousel Alhambra Rough Mix. So this is an earlier version of Carousel Alhambra, which was, of course, the giant, over 10-minute long song in the original album. Now, first of all, the opening keyboard riff sounds completely different when you do a back-to-back comparison, and you're going to notice this immediately when you listen to it. Page's guitars that were much more textural and much more, shall we say, background in the original studio recording are much more now in the forefront. Now, this track is great for guitarists who want to study the more textural aspects of Page's guitar production. Plant's lyrics are still as, unfortunately, indiscernible as they were in the original version, though. I always just, while I loved Carousel Alhambra, I could never really tell what Plant was singing in the original version, and same for this version, without having the lyrics in front of me anyways. Now, overall, this track does give the curious a look into how Jimmy Page acted as a producer and how he layered tracks. And it's also a longer version due to a longer fade out, so the ending's just a little bit, about probably 10-15 seconds longer as well. And so this is an interesting version to hear for those reasons. After that is, the next track is called The Hook, and then in parentheses it says All My Love, excuse me, rough mix. So this is the track All My Love, just a rough mix of it. Once again, it's a more stripped down version, but in this case, it comes off as a bit more immediate when I hear this version, and it feels more like we are hearing the band live than in the studio. And we also get to hear, once again, Page's acoustic guitar solo is much clearer, and we get to hear it much better in this version. So I kind of like this version as well as the original for those reasons. And then finally, of course, is a track which is called Blot, which is basically I'm Gonna Crawl, a rough mix of that track. And mostly with this version, Plant's vocals are more in the forefront for this one. And once again, so is Page's guitar solo. You can better discern the notes that he's hitting versus in the original, where some of it gets, or too much of it, I should say, gets buried in atmospheric production. So my basic feeling about this re-release is that, once again, the original album, you're not going to hear that much different. There's, like all of these re-releases, there's maybe just a very slight improvement. You shouldn't buy it for that reason unless you haven't bought this album previously, in which case, this is the time to get it. Go get the deluxe edition with this extra disc. The only reason you should pick it up is for the bonus disc. I'm kind of on the fence on this one. Unlike Presents, where I said I'm going to just pass on it, this is one I might actually go out and pick up and buy. But I did find a lot of the extra bonus tracks in these rough mixes somewhat interesting, and might want to listen to them more often. And of course, might just make a playlist of them though as well, and just stream them on the streaming services that I subscribe to. So, but there you have it. That's my review of In Through the Outdoor, the Deluxe Edition. If you've had a chance to hear these, please let me know what your thoughts are. Please let me know if your thoughts differ from mine on how they compare to previous CD releases versus this current CD release. And also, if you have experienced the vinyl edition, please give me your thoughts on how the audio sounds on these new vinyl remasterings as well. And so once again, appreciate your comments. Appreciate you sharing these shows on Facebook and Twitter and any other social media you might partake in. And want to thank you so much for watching. And if you haven't done it already, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks a lot. And stay tuned for my review of the last of the Led Zeppelin studio album deluxe editions, which is going to be Coda. And which is also, I think, going to be a little bit more interesting, take a little longer to talk about, because it's actually a 3-disc set in this case. So I am anticipating some interesting things.